the intricacies and the minutia, getting a different look at something you don't normally do. Today, GameRanx brings you the top 10 best simulation games of 2016. Number 10, American Truck Simulator. Something we see all the time for those of us who are on the freeway or highway, depending on where you are, is semi-trucks hauling cargo. They've done so much to make it so that these trucks handle about as close to a real truck that a game can handle. It's not massively polished, but it looks very pretty and has pretty much zero bugs. Now, the graphics are probably the one thing I'm gonna say is not outstanding about this game, but as far as variation, even regarding the fact that there are only 3 states by default in the game, Arizona was just recently added, don't expect it to be an accurate modeling of the entire United States or cities to be massive. Don't expect the type of things that maybe a much larger developer would include, but this game, make no mistake, is probably about as good as this idea is gonna get until this company becomes a much bigger company. And I think that they will, because they're making quality stuff. Number 9, This Is the Police takes a little bit less of a nice look at the police. You can technically be about as corrupt as you want, and it shows you what happens to corrupt police, and they actually seem to do pretty well. They take bribes from people, they do bad things, and they often don't get in trouble for it. And I've seen reviews for this game saying that's not necessarily a good thing to depict. I think it's important to depict stuff like this. People kind of need to understand that the police are also people. And This Is the Police does a very good job of showing you that, because you can pretty much run a police department how you want to. You can be garbage, you can be good, it's up to you. In the real world, that's kind of how police are. If they want to be garbage, they are the law. They're law enforcement. And I feel like a lot of people maybe took that the wrong way. Like, the police aren't automatically good or bad. Either way. Really depends on the person in the uniform. But hey, that's just me defending This Is the Police. Don't take it too seriously. It's a good game though. I enjoyed it. Number 8, Dirt Rally, which also does a fantastic job of being a great racing game on top of being a great simulation game. Now, overall, the graphics for this game are probably not the best you've ever seen, but if you're talking about what you're looking at directly in front of you, for instance, the car itself, it really is a pretty game. Some of the track stuff, maybe not so much, but if you're doing the game how you're supposed to be doing the game, which is driving very fast, not really the most important thing. This game has a much more intense and unforgiving physics model than Dirt 3. I'm an arcade racer fan, but at the same time I found this game to be not so intimidating I couldn't play it, but on the other side of the coin brought more to the table than I'm typically used to, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that it really brought everything together in a way that combines more realistic physics and more options depending on your setup, upgrades, etc., as well as a nice tuning interface and advanced settings that you're able to unlock. And this is a great game. Dirt really always gets the sensation of speed right, but they've really gone above and beyond with Dirt Rally, I think. Number 7 is Farming Simulator 17, which puts you in the role of a farmer, quite obviously, but you had to handle more than just planting seeds and driving a tractor around your property. Although you certainly do those things, you have to breed livestock, grow crops, and handle the business end of things. Farming Simulator is generally a really fun game, actually. It's certainly much more than Sim Farm was back in the day, giving you a lot more accurate things, such as various different types of tractors, including, in 17, the return of manufacturer Fendt, which hasn't been in the game since 2009. You start with kind of a crappy farm with old machinery, and you're tasked with making money, upgrading the farm, and this is actually a really fun interpretation of the idea of running a farm as a video game. Number 6, Planet Coaster is by the same people that made Roller Coaster Tycoon, but does everything it can to sort of get over recent games that have not been reviewed quite as well. They're kind of starting from the start, so to speak. The game sets out to jump into the next generation and shed the kind of bad reputation and sort of reboot construction and management simulation for Frontier Developments. And if you played the alpha at all, you know it's actually on its way to doing that. What I like, it kind of borrows an idea from the newer SimCity in that you can share your rides with other players through sort of a hub called the Global Village, and it's pretty cool to see what people have made with it, even in the alpha. Probably my favorite thing about it though, there's something called Crash Mode, which allows you to construct incomplete roller coasters and, crash them. It's too much fun, to be honest with you. Number 5, Football Manager 17 manages to take the least interesting thing about football and makes it interesting. And when I say football, I mean like football, not like our football, the American football. Football Manager is about soccer for the Americans listening. Now, from what we've seen, the graphics are way better than the previous version of this game. And although it's not out yet, supposedly the AI is going to be significantly better than it used to be. And given the fact that it's an AI-driven game, the players are driven by AI entirely, and your decisions as a manager impact what it is. Essentially, it's somebody who wants to watch football games, or soccer games, depending on, your country. It's their dream game. It's really, really kind of a niche concept, but that's a good thing. They've developed this game quite a bit over the years, and I expect it to be quite good. And hell, you can even upload your own face into the game. Number 4, Quadrilateral Cowboy, in some ways is a big sim of 1980s hacking. You often spend significantly large amount of time typing in code in order to hack. But aside from that, it's also a narrative game that kind of has a little bit of The Witness in it, and kind of has a little bit of Minecraft in it. The style reeks of Minecraft, but the game itself is a little bit more. The gameplay evolves in that you keep getting more gadgets to plan various heists with, but what's great is it actually all fits into a narrative, so it feels like it's going somewhere at all times, and it concludes in such a way, well, that's both very satisfying and just very interesting. Number 3, Offworld Trading Company is essentially an RTS where money is the weapon, the main weapon anyhow. Essentially, it's a corporate RTS, which means capturing resources, capitalizing on them, expanding, and industrial sabotage. It kind of shows the extremes that capitalism itself could probably get to if you just let it to its own devices, and provides a bit of a case as for why we shouldn't maybe ever do that. It's perhaps one of the most interesting games of the year, period, just in that it's so different. It plays like an RTS, but it at its core is a business sim. And it takes place on Mars. It's bizarre. It's really, really a fun game, and I challenge you to find anything else like it. I don't think you will. Number 2, Job Simulator is a game that takes place in the future where you get to sort of peruse a museum of various old jobs that are outdated and no one really has to do anymore. It's a VR game, and it is actually really cool because it sort of spoofs real jobs. Things that may not be around in 50 years because, well, machines are made. Stuff like auto mechanic, gourmet chef, store clerk, office worker. And it does it all in a sort of satirical depiction of these jobs. It's a goofy, sort of silly game that comes off as somewhat Monty Python inspired, in my opinion. There's funny things that seem like they were probably taken literal by whoever was interpreting them in the future, such as putting an actual donut on a car for a donut tire, which is actually just a spare tire. Really, in every way, this game is golden. If you own VR, this is probably one of the definite things you have to try. It's so goofy and fun. And where would this list be without number 1, Civilization 6? Now, we've talked a lot about Civilization 6 so far, and this time I want to focus a little bit on the fact that it's so inspired by the age of exploration, sort of finding out what's possible. What sounds maybe the most interesting about that is that they're working to make it more friendly to mods. In theory, a lot of mods have actually influenced this game. Now, we haven't really played it, but we've heard as such. And what's striking as you view the footage of the game is that it is significantly more cartoony than the last game. And the point of this is apparently because the game is significantly more deep, and they don't want to interfere with the complexity of the gameplay itself. And Sean Bean, who narrated the trailers of the game, has also provided a bunch of voice work for the game itself. And I don't know if you can kill the narrator, or if you want to kill the narrator, let's just let him live this one time. It is Sean Bean. What was your favorite simulation game for the year? Or is it one that's coming up? Let's meet in the comments and talk about that. I want to hear all about it. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. And if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. Click that button. There's new videos every day. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero. And we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.